The highest of high-stakes poker tournaments is already underway. So far, we've seen all-ins, big bluffs, and million-dollar dreams delayed. We've seen some players turning lemons into lemonade, but the pressure's only building towards the largest stage. They say you make your fate. Tonight, we'll scale down to a final table, and I can't wait. But first, we get to see who makes the cut and keeps the pace. Because poker's not a sprint, it's a marathon race.
The biggest buy-in, the biggest names, one of the biggest events on the poker calendar. The World Series of Poker's big one-for-one drop from Las Vegas. 42 players put up $1 million apiece, and we start tonight with just 16 left. Phil Ivey is still in the field. Businessman Tom Hall is the chip leader. Everyone gunning for that huge first-place prize of $15 million. No matter who you are in the poker world, there comes a time when the limits, the buy-in, the moment itself can get the best of you. The One Drop is one such event where anything can happen. The only thing certain is unpredictability. Yet here we are, Norman, with our two finalists from the first One Drop event attempting a remarkable encore performance. Antonio Esfandiari and Sam Trickett once again gunning for the final table.
Apparently, the Magician and Tricky Trickett are $1 million specialists. You show them the big money, and they show you a big effort. And if they can somehow make their way back to meet heads up again in the big one, I believe it would be the 5th greatest rematch of all time, behind Ali Frazier, Magic Bird, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, and of course, Wile E. Coyote versus the Roadrunner. Actually, I'm overlooking Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burden, and you and I fight a lot. Yeah. But hey, trust me, Esfandiari and Trickett would be one for the ages.
Our feature table absolutely loaded, and it's led by Antonio Esfandiari.
I owe him a photo bomb. He better look out the next time he's doing a magic trick.
Daniel Negreanu is to Antonio's direct left.
Daniel has the second shortest stack at the table, but betting against Kid Poker in 2014 is like betting against Christopher Columbus in 1492.
The blinds at 60 and 120,000 with a 15,000 chip ante. Action folded to Negreanu with pocket aces.
The 2013 World Series Player of the Year has had 5 top 10 finishes at this year's World Series.
8 cashes total, a raise to 260,000 on the button. Phil Galfon folds over to 23-year-old Daniel Coleman with pocket tens.
What should we play? Started with 4.1.
Coleman planned to go back to college in the summer of 2012 and give up poker, but he says he messed up his applications and decided to give poker one more go.
He hails from just outside the Boston area. And with those tens, a re-raise to 780,000. Scott Seaver folds his big. So back to the aces of Negreanu.
Daniel generally doesn't like to re-raise. It's against his small ball philosophy and also loosely against his vegan tendencies. But with pocket aces, I don't think he's going to resist.
Raise.
Negreanu says raise. He makes a min raise to 1.3.
That's why I stayed in college. No 4 bets to worry about.
All in.
Coleman puts Negreanu all in, and of course the snap call.
Negreanu seems satisfied. He's hooked another college dropout.
Coleman with a good hand, but he ran into the biggest hand in No Limit Hold'em. Negreanu's girlfriend Marissa waiting for that double up to happen.
I was trying to figure out. And then I just figured, I don't know, this is close enough.
There's the flop, ace in the window with the 10 for Coleman.
That's a Cirque du Soleil flop. We should be charging spectators to see that.
Played that any different, it works out the same.
Much better. 1 out instead of 2.
Yeah. Tricky can do it.
Let's do for another ace.
There should be a backdoor for the 10s.
Chop.
Tray of diamonds on the turn. Coleman still has a slight chance.
Only the last 10 in the deck would knock out Negreanu.
There's nothing I can do now.
Anybody fold a 10?
River card is an 8, and that is just what Negreanu needed. He's up to 70 big blinds.
Daniel, was you tempted to say I raise the minimum?
Yes. I wanted to be like, how much to click it back?
The player tracker illustrates the positive impact on Negreanu's hopes with a win in that hand with the aces. Daniel over 8.4 million. So he moves into 6th place on the leaderboard. He has about half the stack of the overall leader, amateur Tom Hall.
The Magician in second, and lurking in third, the notorious Rick Solomon.
From the other half of the leaderboard, only Scott Seaver and Anthony Gregg are in trouble.
Actually, we're all in trouble, Lon. Nobody gets out alive.
Only half of the remaining 16 players will earn a paycheck. None of them can sit comfortably with their chip stack. 4 chips in play. You can see them all in Antonio's stack right there, from the 5K to the purples, worth $250,000. Action again on Negreanu. Pocket 5s. And, you know, a twisted mind might think Negreanu was sending a secret message. He has 2 5s, and he raised to 255.
Did you think that?
Yeah, I did. Action on Coleman with ace-jack.
Since messing up his college application, Coleman this year won the EPT Monte Carlo High Roller for $2.1 million.
And he re-raises Negreanu again to $630,000. Pocket kings for the amateur Paul Newey in the small blind.
The venture capitalists love pocket kings.
Can I help you cool down?
No.
Yeah, but by poker standards, Antonio is a triathlete.
Oh, now Scott Seaver looks like he's going to join him. So a lot of action in front of Newey here with the kings. And there is another 4-bet, $2,050,000.
That 4-bet will thin this field.
Probably save me money.
Negreanu folds, Coleman folds, and Newey woke up with kings at an opportune time and scores a pot pre-flop.
The 2012 one-drop was the first big live tournament Newey had ever played.
He's in 11th place at the moment. $1 million each to get in, 11% to charity means over $37 million to be awarded, with $15.3 million up top. At the outside table, Phil Ivey putting some of his $6.6 million chips to work with pocket 10s in the small blind. Ivey raises to $400,000. In the big blind, German pro Christoph Vogelsang. Ivey's girlfriend Nellie looks worried, and there's good reason. Vogelsang with kings.
Remember, this is Vogelsang's first ever World Series event.
It still drops my jaw. A re-raise to $975.
Ivey just won his 10th bracelet this summer in the $1,500 8-game mix event. He plays everything well, except Hold'em, apparently.
Yeah, none of his bracelets in Hold'em, but he's still your guy.
My guy.
Phil Ivey re-raises Vogelsang all in, and there's a snap call with the kings.
Vogelsang looking for the double up. Ivey with 2/3 of his stack at risk.
So you try to be so careful in this $1 million buy-in. You pick up a good hand and run into a bigger hand. We just saw that at the feature table. Vogelsang, the one at risk, and here's our flop. And a king for Vogelsang to just about shut the door on this hand.
It looks grim, but I've seen Butch and Sundance get out of worse spots than this line.
7 of hearts, and that does secure the double up for Christoph Vogelsang, thanks to Phil Ivey.
That's not good.
A huge blow to the 10-time bracelet winner as he's cut down to just 2.4 million chips.
He should stick to stud 8.
The 2014 World Series of Poker Big One for One Drop is dealt by the WSOP social game on Facebook and mobile. Try our new high roller tables today. Back in Las Vegas, where 2012 one-drop runner-up Sam Trickett took a bad beat off the felt.
I'm so injury prone these days. I mean, I'm not a clumsy person by any means, but I just seem to get injured way more than most. When I used to play football from 9 or whatever till 16, I never got like one injury. I thought I was like invincible, and then all of a sudden I hit 16, I did my knee, and then like everything goes wrong now. If I just get out of the car wrong or something, I'll do my groin or something. And so I was in Walgreens, I was buying all this junk food, I was dying to eat it, and like I had baskets full. I saw the 2 ranch dips, I like grabbed one and then grabbed the other one like this, and then like started juggling it before you know it, and they just like went down and just cracked me straight on my foot, and like I looked down and gushed like someone hit me with an axe. It was so bad. So I couldn't actually believe that a bottle of ranch dip like split my foot open that bad, but it wasn't painful at all. I was just immediately just angry that I wasn't going to get to eat for another 3 or 4 hours. I was like, oh, damn it, I'm so hungry, and now I've got to go, the ambulance came and I've got to go to the hospital, so I was just a bit pissed off, to be honest.
Because of Trickett's mishap, there is now a movement in Nevada to require all ranch dip containers to install airbags.
Well, Trickett with 9-6 off on the button, putting himself in another dangerous position. A raise to 250. Rankemeyer folds to the big blind. Esfandiari with 10-7 off.
And the big blind looks bored. He's got nothing better to do than play 10-7 off.
And these guys cannot get away from each other. So heads up between the 1 and 2 finishers and the last big 1 for 1 drop. Here's the flop. 9-8, jack, oh, deja vu. Antonio flops a jack high straight.
I would rather have a glass bottle drop on my foot than watch Antonio flop a straight with 10-7 against me.
They both check it to the turn. 5 of diamonds, Stricken now drawing dead.
Antonio definitely will bet here to protect his hand against a backdoor flush, or even a higher straight could hit the river.
Antonio checks.
Well, of course he's not going to bet. He wants to induce Trickett to fire out with second pair.
Trickett also has a straight draw. And he does bet 350.
Well, now Antonio's supposed to check raise, unless he dropped his brain on the floor doing jumping jacks earlier.
Antonio does have raising chips in hand and a check raise to $1,010,000. What message does Trickett take from that?
The message is this. Sam says, I'm rather fed up with the magician by now.
Well, he's not folding. And Sam Trickett will make the call. Guess he didn't want to bet the ranch on that, Norman. Sorry. All right, river card now. 2.7 million in the middle, and Trickett makes a lower straight. Oh, that's going to leave a mark.
Oh, man, Trickett's got to like a 9-high straight. Brutal river for him.
Antonio with the best of it. Purple chips in hand. $1,560,000. There's the call. There's the better straight.
I tell you, that hurts almost as much as the ranch dressing falling on his foot.
Nice win for Antonio.
This river's just ridiculous. How much is it?
1.560.
Trickett sees nearly $3 million of his stack relocate to seed 1.
We've seen Antonio flop or turn 3 straights at this 1 drop.
He got $2.5 million from Trickett post flop. That is how you do it. Antonio back on top of this elite field, a spot he's very familiar with. Kara Scott has more.
Antonio Esfandiari's win here at the first 1 drop was memorable indeed. It was a no-holds-barred celebration with emotion fully on display. He has a lot of people here hoping that he does it again, including his fiancée Amal, daughter of former November Niner Bob Bunara. Now, his father also told me they're not just here hoping he wins. They are preparing for victory. In their minds, it's already done. Antonio has been hovering at or near the top of the leaderboard, but the road there has been a little bit different this year. In the first 1 drop, he crushed the field. He knocked out nearly 30% of them himself, steamroller style. But this time, he's getting there by chipping away at his opponents with fewer knockouts.
Back to the feature table. Phil Galfond opened under the gun with pocket 6s to 275. Folded to Antonio in the small blind with pocket queens.
Antonio better win his second 1 drop here. Time is not on his side. He's 35 years old now. That's halfway to 70.
Antonio just calls with the queens. Negreanu in the big blind with jack 8 of hearts will come along.
And Daniel's no spring chicken. He turns 40 later this year, so he's closer to 60 than he is to 18. Kid Boker my butt.
So 3 very good players will see this flop, and here it is. Jack 8-4. Negreanu scores top 2 and crushes the other pocket pairs. Esfandiari puts $380,000 out there.
What's the old man doing? Negreanu's thinking. I've got the best hand.
Negreanu reaching for chips. Call. And he's one of the several players who have struggled with the chip values, so just to remove all doubt, he just says call instead of making a mistake.
Well, he's just calling there, hoping maybe Galfond was going to raise with a big hand.
But Galfond does not. He folds.
Galfond's only 29. This is a senior's pot line.
All right, heads up to the turn card. Tray of clubs. 3rd club out there. Neither holds one. Antonio puts that right arm to work once again. $565,000.
Yeah, now Daniel might be worried that the club flush got there for Antonio.
Again, just a call from Negreanu.
So this pot is going to go to one of these over-the-hill former poker stars.
All right, the river card. 5 of spades. So Negreanu guaranteed the best of it. Cautious check from Antonio.
Just in case.
Likewise. And Daniel will drag that pot.
Wow.
The 39-year-old frustrates the 35-year-old there.
Well, Antonio let Negreanu into the hand, but the defending champ felt it was the right call at the right time.
Club doesn't come, you might probably lose more.
Bottom line, Negreanu now with a fourth-place chip stack with 16 players left in the field. Antonio still has the big stack in the room at the moment. The short stack is that of Anthony Gregg. With ace-deuce, he's facing a raise that would put him all in, courtesy of Christoph Vogelsang, who has pocket trays. And there is the call, Gregg at risk.
Gregg calls for his last 12 big blinds. He won last year's $111,000 one-drop high roller worth $4.8 million.
And he comes up empty in that flop.
Gregg, good friends with Greg Merson, part of the Maryland Mafia of poker's best.
That's a positive way to look at it.
Turn card now. Gregg looking for help. That pairs the board, which triples Anthony's chances.
He needs an ace, queen, or 5 to stick around.
River is another 10. Vogelsang with a full house, ending Anthony Gregg's run tonight.
He's got money in the bank.
Like his good friend Greg Merson, Anthony Gregg out with nothing to show for it but a nice tax deduction. First, Vogelsang took most of Ivy's stack. Now he takes all of Gregg's chips. The shortest stack in the room is the first to bust tonight. Back to the Las Vegas Strip for the big one for one drop. There's a look at businessman Kerry Katz, currently 6th in chips. Katz, the CEO of College Loan Corporation, a company that helps students find private loans to finance college.
He is chairman of Stop Child Predators, a policy and educational organization. And on his World Series of Poker resume, he has 2 final tables among his 18 cashes.
Born in Atlanta, now lives here in Las Vegas. Katz on the button with ace-king offsuit.
Like fellow businessman Paul Newey here, Katz plays it pretty close to the vest.
Katz likes ace-king, folded to him. And there is a raise to 330,000. Brandon Stephen folds his small blind. Rick Solomon, famous for being famous, I guess, in the big blind with 8-5 off.
If Katz is close to the vest, Solomon is not so close to the vest.
He likes to mix it up, and he wants to defend his big blind.
Yeah, he'll take 8-5 off, out for a spin.
Just because he can. And here is the flop, and 5-king-5. Wow, what a cruel flop for Katz.
Yeah, if Katz were to dream of a nightmare flop, that would be it, Lon.
Check to the turn, 10 of spades, no help for Kerry Katz. A check again from Solomon. Katz with top pair and the 5s on board, bets 300,000. And now Rick Solomon showing some interest in this hand. A check raise to 600,000.
Well, the water had seemed safe, except from unlikely sharks in Panama hats.
A call from Katz. River card, another 10. 5s full for Solomon now. $500,000.
Solomon bets just a quarter of the pot. Katz is curious.
He's got 2 pair.
And I'd be curious, too.
But curiosity may hurt the Katz here.
Oh!
And a crying call. And a crying loss.
Solomon has Katz mumbling. I hate mumbling. You can never hear what they're saying.
It seems about everything about that hand was an irritant to Kerry Katz. For Rick Solomon, just the opposite. He's now in 3rd place with over $11.6 million.
How'd you check the flop? Huh? How'd you check the flop? Either way ahead or way behind.
The conservative button-up businessman plays ace-king and loses. The free-spirited sex-tape purveyor plays 8-5 and wins.
Norman, did you leave your slippers out there on the floor?
Whatever happened to no shoes, no shirt, no service, Antonio?
Oh, Antonio, very comfortable once again in the chip lead. There is German pro Tobias Rankemeyer, who called with pocket jacks in the small blind. Phil Galfond is in with Jack-10 suited. Negreanu setting the pace, opening for 360 with ace-queen. 3 players see the flop of 6, 7, 4, 2 clubs. Rankemeyer is still best, but checks to the razor.
Oh, Rankemeyer trying to make hay with the Lon McCarron Memorial hand, and Daniel has my least favorite hand, ace-queen. I tell you, by the time he turns 40, he'll figure it out. It can't win.
He did miss the flop. It looks like he wants to put out a continuation bet. 575, Galfond now. He gets out of the way. Rankemeyer with the pocket jacks.
I think I like Tobias, so I'm going to give him a pass on those shades at the moment.
He calls for 575. What do we do now? We have pocket jacks and ace queen. Heads up.
They won't even chop the pot. They both lose.
Another 7 jacks up now for Rankemeyer. And he checks again, playing with fire. Daniel has 2 overcards.
The hand of doom is going to continue down the road of gloom.
Daniel with just ace queen. That's 950,000. Rankemeyer just calls.
Daniel hasn't been this unhappy since Mike the Mouth took him to a pig roast.
River card now with almost 4.5 million chips in the middle. 9 of spades. Negreanu whiffs start to finish. He's got ace high.
And look at that, 5 undercards to the pocket jacks. Blue man shades is leading a charmed life.
And he still checks. That's how scary pocket jacks are.
Well, will Kid Poker triple barrel it?
Looks like he's thinking about it. He checks back. And Rankemeyer calls his way to a 4.5 million chip pot.
The 26-year-old German has terrific high roller results. Don't mess with him.
Rankemeyer now up to 5th place, starting to knock on the door of 10 million chips.
Good thing I didn't bet the river. I don't think I'm gonna fold.
Yeah, you were getting insta calls for sure.
Unless you go all in.
It would have been thin.
5 million all in.
It's a tough call.
That would be a tough call. I was thinking that. I was thinking that. I'm like, there's 4 million there.
2 8s.
No, come on.
Was there 4 million in the pot?
Yeah. There's 4 mil in the pot. I'm like, oh, D-Megs might just rip 5 mil here. Don't know if my man can call.
Tobias chips up, and Scott Seaver shows he might have a future in poker commentary. 15 players left here at the big one for one drop in Las Vegas.
Tricky, tricky.
Won a pot.
It's been about 8 hours.
It's been 8 hours. There was nothing tricky about it. That's all I'm gonna say. I just wait for a hand. It's so much easier.
Isn't it?
Welcome to my
It
world.
is. It feels like
Welcome to my world, Tricky.
Now you understand why I'm doing this.
Yeah, that's why you always have min stack all tourney.
That's true too.
And then go bananas when it gets to this stage.
Bananas.
Yeah. Just goes like berserk. You seen it? How he won that?
Folded 2, amateur Paul Newey.
Yeah, I'm at a table with all the best players in the world. How bananas could I go?
Ace 4 of hearts.
Now, the best players in the world, plus Paul Newey. Tough spot for the venture capitalist, and he plays quite well.
Newey will raise it up with a suited ace to 350. Rankemeyer folded. Esfandiari, another pro folds. Negreanu in the small blind folds. Phil Galfond has to take up the challenge for the pros here.
Here's the thing about Galfond. He looks quite smart, and I believe he's even smarter than he looks.
I think you're right about that. From the big blind with King 10, Galfond will take on the amateur.
Old money against new money.
All right, here is the flop, heads up. 5-5 jack, both miss. Galfond checks.
Newey says he's made $500,000 playing slots this summer. I know the rich always get richer, but slots.
Right. Well, Mr. Amateur is going to bet with ace high, 375. Now, Mr. Pro.
I wouldn't make eye contact with Galfond. He can process your pupils.
Galfond with some purples. And there is a check raised to 875.
See, what did I tell you?
Newey folds. That's a time-honored tradition in poker rooms coast to coast and in Alaskan home games.
Beast. Beast, Galfond.
It's not like I've been doing that much.
Logging question. How much for Phil Galfond to change his first name legally to Beast and request for the rest of his life that everyone just call him
Please
Beast?
call me Beast.
Yeah.
No, sir, my name is Beast.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Should we play it?
Call him what?
Huh?
What name?
Beast.
Beast.
Yeah. Beast Galfond. Let's do one. Come on.
He might do it for free.
For sure.
He might already be like, you know, this is not
Beast
a bad idea.
Galfond. You have a number, Mr. Galfond? There's a number, right?
Not yet. Let me think.
Back at the other table now. Christoph Vogelsang in the big blind with queen tray suited. The big stack big man, Tom Hall, opened for 375 with ace-king off. He was called by Gabe Kaplan on the button with ace-10 off.
Vogelsang rocking the scarf and short sleeve combo. I can't pull that off.
Vogelsang with a raise with that hand to $1,350,000. Back to Hall now with ace-king. And Hall makes the call. Now Gabe. He knows the value of ace-10 in that situation.
Vogelsang with a lot of pep in his step.
All right, here's the flop. We are heads up. Two of the big stacks at this outer table. Tray, 4 king, no hearts, both pair up, and that's not good for Vogelsang.
Well, but Vogelsang is going to try and represent the hand that Hall has.
Vogelsang continuing his aggression. He bets $1,225,000.
What's $1,225,000 to Hall? He's played in the biggest games in the world in Macau.
And if he loses, he can always afford to come back the next day. And he announces raise. And that is not music to Vogelsang's ears. Hall makes it $2.5 million.
That's a min raise plus a value-added tax. In the old days, Vogelsang would quickly fold here. These aren't the old days. He might repop it.
The World Series of Poker rookie regarding the rich businessman. And Vogelsang gives it up. Hall regains the tournament chip lead. Hong Kong Tom now over 19 million chips. Vogelsang tried to get the best of the amateur, but top pair, top kicker makes most players pretty stubborn. Back to the feature table, Antonio Esfandiari with ace deuce. He's in second place now with 16.4 million. He folds to Negreanu, jack nine of diamonds.
Jack nine of diamonds seems to befit Daniel Negreanu.
Daniel's dropped back in the pack a bit since his double up to 8 million, sits with just under 6 million. He raises to 360.
The one drop began with 42 players, 30 of them poker pros. We're down to 15 players, 10 of them pros.
Sam Trickett finished second in the last big one for one drop. He's got aces in the small blind, just the tonic for a card dead session.
Trickett and Negreanu are both pros. I guess if I played the one drop, I would not be classified as professional.
Well, probably not, no. A re-raise to 800,000, folded back to Negreanu, the original raiser. Aces. Jack nine suited.
Seems like a pretty fair fight.
There's a call for 440 more from Negreanu. Sam's happy about that. 6-9-5 rainbow. Pocket aces are still best. Negreanu with a pair of nines now.
But this is a good chance for Trickett to get back into the mix. He needs a pot.
Oh, they both check it. 10 of hearts allows Trickett to keep his lead.
That's a pretty safe looking board for Trickett's pocket aces.
No checking this time from Trickett, it seems. Chips in hand. Two-fisted, 1.2 million.
Daniel just with a pair of nines and no draw.
Pretty even chip stacks. And there is a call from Negreanu. These two pros building a good-sized pot. One of these stacks is going to be hurt. River card is a 9, and Negreanu Rivers trips to flip the tables on Trickett.
Where did that card come from? It's like Daniel had it shipped from some 9 of clubs warehouse.
All in.
All in from Trickett. Oh, no.
He pushes with 24 big blinds left.
I don't see how I could ever throw this away. 3 what?
8, 6, 5.
3.5. You would check 10s there when? Let's see. 10s. Would you check 10s and then do that? No. I think you're dead. I think you're dead. But I could be wrong. 3 point.
If Daniel calls, Trickett's gone. It's for most of Daniel's stack, but I don't see how he doesn't call.
I call.
There it is. Aces, no good. Sam's 36 big blinds are now in Negreanu's ledger.
I would keep Trickett away from any ranch dressing bottles after that one.
Trickett ran so well on day one, and then nothing happened for him after that. Eliminated in 15th place.
Sorry, brother man.
No problem.
There will be no Esfandiari Trickett heads-up rematch.
Brutal. Snap call, boom, full.
Sam bids farewell to the big 1-for-1 drop. Daniel Negreanu takes the last of Sam Trickett's stack. Tricky Trickett got run down by one of the best. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Kara Scott is with Sam Trickett.
We spoke earlier today, and you said you felt like the day two wasn't going so well for us. So can you talk us through kind of what happened today that was so different from day one?
How could it go good today? After yesterday went so well, it went so smoothly. Yeah, I just went the complete opposite today. Didn't really win a hand. Just didn't play my best either, so I'm a little bit irritated about that. Just didn't make any hands, and obviously playing against good aggressive players, it's difficult if you're not making hands because they're going to exploit you. Final hand, no regrets. Just could have done a few things differently, but all in all, I just didn't run well, and I didn't play my best, and you know, it's not a good combination. It's not a winning combination.
Thank you very much for talking to us. That's Sam Trickett, last year's runner-up, out in 15th.
Daniel Negreanu sent Trickett to the rail and moved up to 4th place. One other player making a move is Phil Galfond. He is right behind Negreanu on the leaderboard in 5th place. Galfond has been a fixture on the high-stakes scene and now operates out of a new base in Vancouver.
But he was born in Maryland, Lon. How could such a small state produce so many great poker players and announcers? And yeah, he was a running back in high school with dreams of playing in the NFL. He was Danny Woodhead before Danny Woodhead.
Really, everyone at the stable except Phil.
You mean Beast?
I've not played much with. You haven't paid him
I
yet.
haven't been paid yet.
He has not been paid. Yeah.
That's quite a bit of money, by the way.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's like pretty bad.
Yeah. Especially for me.
As in because you're so rich, or because you like the name Phil so much?
No, because I dislike the name Beast, and telling people they have to call me Beast.
You don't have to tell them that. You just can't say, oh, just call me Phil. You have to be like, yeah, my name's Beast.
Folded to
Galfond. Use Phil as a
Galfond.
nickname.
9-6 of hearts. Esfandiari and Negreanu folded.
I kind of like the name Beast for Galfond. Think of the branding opportunities if he dates a beauty.
A raise to 350. Coleman, ace 6 suited.
Coleman, in a sense, is where Galfond was 5 years ago, a bit introverted, unsure of where he fits in the poker ecosystem. Now Galfond is chatty and much more comfortable on the big stage.
Well, Coleman seems pretty comfortable with this hand. Re-raise to 800,000. Seaver with a small ace does the right thing. Paul Newey, King 10, he folds that. Now back to Galfond.
If you ever see either of these guys online, I'd immediately get offline.
Galfond's move to Vancouver was prefaced with quite a bit of realtor hoopla. He sold his 2 Manhattan condos that had that big slide from upstairs to downstairs.
Oh, I wanted to bid for the slide alone.
Right?
Yeah, it's a 30 ante, so you need
Oh, it's a 30.
No, the next one.
Galfond for 450 is going to come along. That's creative, but you can't wither to every 3-bet.
It feels wrong.
Heads up now.
I can't.
9, Jack 5. Galfond gets the best of it, pairing his 9 for the lead. He checks. Coleman checks.
It's actually normal to go 1, 2, 30.
Another 5. Galfond still best, but Coleman picks up the nut flush draw.
Galfond won his bracelet in 2008, a PLO event.
Chips in hand, he bets almost half the pot, 900,000.
900.
Coleman getting the right price to call his flush draw, particularly with the ace, of course, an overcard to the board.
By the way, Coleman knew that before you even thought it, Norman. There's the call. All right, 3.78 million in the middle. Galfond almost a 3-to-1 favorite. River card now is the 7 of diamonds. Coleman gets there with the flush. Galfond checks it.
Galfond puts on the brakes. Here comes Coleman.
Phil would be happy to not have to put any more chips in the middle, but Coleman has other ideas. Here he comes, a chunky bet, 2.3 million.
He's like a taller, leaner, younger version of yourself, Phil. I guess you should be worried. Galfond started this hand with 10 million chips. This pot already has swelled to 6 million. Every pot of this size is important.
Sorry, guys. No worries.
Take your time, brother. I will not be calling the clock.
I was leaning very far towards one way. Now I'm leaning the other way.
I probably would call here, so you should probably fold.
A huge decision for Galfond on the river. Does he think he has the best hand? Back in a moment. Phil Galfond with the most important decision of his tournament. Does Daniel Coleman have a hand that beats his two pair? We know the answer is yes.
I wish you weren't good enough to have some thin value here. It'd make this very easy.
It seems unlikely Coleman has a flush or a full house, or that he's making a thin value bet with a big pair. Galfond doesn't want to give it up.
He does call.
Flush.
And that will be costly to Phil Galfond.
Well, actually seeing that, I'm fine. I feel okay.
He had the nuts. We're okay. No, not quite. But.
He had a light 3-bet hand. I was gonna feel dumb if he had queens.
Yeah.
That's when I was gonna feel dumb. I don't feel dumb about that.
Coleman takes Galfond's 5th place perch on the leaderboard with 10.1 million. Galfond down to 9th. Only 8 places get paid.
I was gonna.
I thought he might have specifically ace-ace there.
Yeah, me too. I still feel like I was right.
Oh man, I think I have king 10 there and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna check back the flop. And I have to call the turn.
That's what I was thinking.
Galfond back to action, ace-queen.
After losing a big pot, you never want to see ace-queen. That's the hand of doom.
425 is Galfond's raise. Coleman will sit this one out. Seaver, likewise.
Seaver normally would like to play 10-9 suited, but he's short-stacked.
Paul Newey, ace-king off. Newey even shorter stacked than Seaver.
Cool.
Makes the call.
Newey just flatting with that ace-king.
Frankemeyer folds ace-10. Antonio gives up his small blind. Negreanu in the big with jack tray of clubs, and he'll come along.
Yeah, it's a suited jack. He's getting 6-1 on a call. Why not?
That's the mistake I've made every time. I cheat the 25s as 20s for whatever reason.
All the guys having trouble with the chip denomination. 7-7 ace. Ace is up for Newey and Galfond. Newey's kicker is stronger. Negreanu missed. He checks.
But see, this is like a horror film where the nice kid from the small town gets sucked up by some alien force. Someone call Galfond's next of kin.
Check to Newey. And Newey's going to bet it. $1,050,000. Negreanu folds his experiment. And now Galfond ponders what Newey is up to.
Remember, Newey just called Galfond's pre-flop raise with that ace-king, so Galfond's got to believe his ace-queen is in great shape.
He's got some big chips. That's a check raise from Phil Galfond to $2,315,000.
I'm all in.
All in.
Okay, call.
All in and call. Newey at risk and with the best of it against Phil Galfond.
Thought that was getting him pre-flop. Thought I had the nuts.
I like Galfond too much to watch this line. I'm going to take a personal day.
I don't blame you. Newey sees the 10 of diamonds, no help to Phil Galfond. So Newey and his girlfriend Mia, one card from a double up.
That's bad. It kills one of my ace outs. The only ace out. Bad news, man.
Newey at risk. Only a queen knocks him out.
Newey gets the king on the river, but he didn't need it. He doubles through Phil Galfond. That's worth $10.1 million.
Nice double for Paul Newey.
Yeah, first on the one since a break.
Phil Galfond now in the danger zone.
Indeed, Norman Galfond is the one who needs to start pressing the action. His stack has been decimated in short order. And in a fast-paced tournament like this, big one for one drop, just a couple of hands can turn the leaderboard upside down. Phil Galfond on the short stack as Paul Newey rises up. The 2014 World Series of Poker Big One for One Drop is dealt by the World Series of Poker Circuit Tour. Looking for live tournament action at a casino near you? Check out the schedule at WSOP.com. A look at the Richard Mille design watch for this year's champion. 14 still in the game. Tom Hall still leads. Gabe Kaplan still looking for pants. The blinds at 120, 240,000, a 40,000 chip ante. Rick Solomon with 10-6 off. Average stack now just under 40 big blinds. Gabe folds Jack Trey. Over to Phil Ivey, King 9 of clubs, and a raise to $500,000.
Phil doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to carry around a charger for his phone, so at some point he'll have to take off the headphones, right?
Yes.
Or will he keep them on because, as I suspect, he's not actually listening to anything?
Vogelsang on the button with King 8 of spades.
He started playing poker in 2010 while getting his master's degree from the London School of Economics.
He hurt Phil Ivey's chip stack earlier, and looks like he wants more. There's a re-raise to $1,200,000.
Wow, he took most of my man's chips earlier, as you just mentioned. Now he's got the audacity to re-raise Ivey with King 8.
Hall folds the Cats with Ace-Queen in the big blind.
Ace-Queen will find a way to lose this hand, Lon. Trust me, my friend.
Cats is all in with his short stack.
15 big blinds left for Kerry Katz.
To Ivey. Into the muck go his cards. Vogelsang, King 8 of spades.
Vogelsang would be overreaching a little if he calls this all in. It's for a quarter of his chips.
But as you mentioned, he is playing with some Phil Ivey chips, so he's got a little extra going for him. He's really considering this. Katz is squirming. And he calls a clock.
Vogelsang has been taking a lot of time with his decisions.
So Vogelsang on a clock. He's got 60 seconds to make a decision now.
Okay, I call.
And he acts much quicker than that as he calls Katz down. Katz at risk, but the favorite to double up.
Yeah, Katz a 3-2 favorite to stick around.
So Vogelsang taking a risk with a King 8 suited, trying to knock off a player. And here is the flop. 4-7-7 hits neither, so Katz still ahead. 5 of diamonds on the turn. Vogelsang with a gut shot.
So now a King 8 or 6 would bust Kerry Katz.
The river card, the 7 of hearts, and Katz will survive with an $8,000,000 chip double up.
Businessman's fist bump.
The German Pro World Series rookie gives up over a third of his stack.
Definitely brought your A game today.
Oh, that's unnecessary.
All right. Play one hand, double up.
Double up plus tax for Kerry Katz. And that moves that amateur up to 7th place on the leaderboard. But everyone looking up at another amateur, Hong Kong Tom Hall, who has over 21 million.
Hall and Rick Solomon leading the pros right now. Meanwhile, Phil Ivey, Gabe Kaplan, and Phil Galfond, each under 20 big blinds.
Back to that same table, Katz opened with Ace-Queen for $500,000, folded to Phil Ivey in the big blind with Ace-8 of hearts. Phil Ivey calls for 260 more.
Ace-Queen will find a way to lose this hand, Lon. Trust me, my friend.
All right, one of the short stacks. Ivey now is dominated going to the flop. And here it is, and it's Queen 5, Queen trips for Katz, and the nut flush draw for Ivey.
It looks like Ivey's phone ran out of juice.
Ivey checked it.
Katz sitting on a monster.
Yellow chips worth 100,000 each. There are 6 of them.
I'll be honest with you, I don't like the way Katz bets. And we just showed you Ivey getting short on chips with the nut flush draw here.
Tension builds.
Call.
All in and a call. Well, he's got outs.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even like the way Katz turns his cards over. He does have my man in awful shape.
Ivey looking for hearts. Turn card now. Pairs the board, and that will do it. Phil Ivey drawing dead, eliminated at the hands of Kerry Katz's full boat. There'll be no big payday for Phil Ivey as he comes up short of the money. Katz with a late rush, which has inflated his chip stack to $14.4 million.
10 bracelets for Phil Ivey, still none of them in no limit hold'em. What, he couldn't beat 41 chumps here? Jeez. Have a nice dinner.
Phil Ivey had high hopes and confidence, having just won his 10th bracelet, but the run good ran dry. On the long walk to the parking lot, Phil Ivey had company as the talk of a Trickett Esfandiari rematch ended.
It's just ridiculous. All in.
The beast is still breathing, barely.
Sorry, guys.
Chip leader Tom Hall, Kerry Katz, and Paul Newey carry the torch for the businessmen. 13 are left. One will get lucky and win over $15 million. For Norman Chad and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.